What's going on, people?
How's
It's
it going?
it's actually Thursday, so it's been throwing me off all day because we normally do this show on Wednesday. So I'm like off a day.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
yeah. So um, yeah. So you probably saw the PulseCon 2022 video we ran there in the beginning. So DS will be out there representing, and I'll be out there. I think you'll be out there as well, right? So everybody should come see us for sure. So that'd be
Yeah,
fun.
it's
Yeah. So
gonna be a good
today,
time.
yeah, yeah. So tonight we have a really cool guest on that. To me, has one of the best websites for info in the community. I mean, I got in here and you could actually just go through this thing for like ever, with all the info, and that's howtopulse.com. And tonight we've got the man JMoney with us, and he's going to tell us all about what they have going on. I know you've met him before. Um, I have never met him because I was lame and didn't go to any of the things around me. So, but next time for sure. So, um, I'll quit talking and we'll bring him in and let's get this show started.
What's up,
J
guys?
Money,
How's it
Honey.
going?
good man.
Good, good.
Thanks for coming on. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. So I mean, I know you do a lot of things, but I wanted to talk to you about how to pulse.com, and anything else we want to talk about. But I really, number one, I just want to say, man, you guys have put in the work, and you must have an incredible team around you because just all
Absolutely.
the info that you have on this website is just unbelievable. And kudos to you guys, man. What a lot of work for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. We've put in a ton of time, ton of hours. There's 9 core team members, and then there's at least another 15 to 20 people that aren't core, but actually still contribute to what we do, especially with like a lot of the Twitter storms. All that artwork has to come from somewhere, right? So we actually have community members out building that artwork for us. Um, we've brought in a couple of community members to help us run that Twitter storm. Just one more thing on our plate that we've got going on. But yeah, we've got some kick-ass developers that are doing some good stuff. A couple of these guys can whip a web page together in a matter of a few hours to, a day and a half, depending on how much intricacy you want to see and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, we've been putting in a lot of hours writing these blogs, doing these little how-to videos is a big thing for me personally. I spend a ton of hours in the PulseChain chats, just constantly in there as much as I can, trying to teach guys, new oncomers as much as I can verbally, as well as what we can provide on the site.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know when I met you guys back in Texas, you guys were probably the most energetic group I had met like to date. Like you got t-shirts, you guys were like excited to just get the
Yeah.
message post out there. So I'm interested to like find out how it started, like, whose brain was this, how did you guys all link up, to start this mega project?
So let's see. It started on in October, like October 5th, something like that. But I guess mid September, I was on chat on PulseChain chat, and Lank was on there talking about some stuff, and it caught my ear. And I messaged him on the side, and I said, "Man, I didn't know you were a developer." And he was talking about the NFT on Pulse deal. This is back in August, September, and so we pulled off to the side, and I'd already been talking to him on the side, just randomly here and there. We kind of just clicked on certain levels already, and we just started talking, and they invited me to be part of that team, and you know keep the face of the NFT on Pulse, and which later became um, how to Pulse. Um, but yeah, I think Lank was the first person I talked to and getting involved with how to Pulse. but yeah, it was probably like the second conversation that I had with those guys. Just even finding out what they were trying to do and with the NFT project and all that kind of stuff. Where I'm not sure exactly who said it, but hey, we should build a website, and there's a lot of knowledge here, and we could put a lot of information out to the public, and that would really just resonate with the public or the community, I should say. So yeah, I'd have to say Lank is probably the main person behind all of this.
Okay.
You guys know who that is, or?
I've heard the name, but I'm not sure that I know him personally.
Okay. Yeah, he spends a lot of time in chat as well. As a matter of fact, he just got on as admin because it's getting more and more crazy in there. So there's a lot of admins being added to the PulseChain chat rooms, and where most of the time there's like 50 to 60 people in there, just on random hours of the day. But normally it'll get up to about 100 on the good hours. Whereas now I'm starting to see where 100's kind of the norm, and 150 to 180 people in that room at the highs. And we haven't even had any like official announcements yet, so it should get interesting in that room here in the next month or so.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, man, I enjoy just helping people, man. That's my gratitude. And I just spent like an hour and a half on the phone with a guy yesterday, helping him set up his hardware wallets. I just
cool.
enjoy it.
I mean, that's what's great about the community is there's people like you that are willing to help people that don't know anything. So, I mean, or know very little. And I think like the site you guys have built, you can just send people to that site. And it's, I mean, if the answer is not there, then it's probably, there's nobody knows the answer.
Right. And that's probably what the main thing was, is, we spent months and months and months in the chat room, and it seems like you're answering the same questions all the time. Yeah. It's like, we know the answers to all these questions. Like, why not make one centralized location, put all the information there? People are still going to ask the questions, and people are still going to answer those questions in the chats and stuff. But it's very easy for someone to say, hey, go to how to pulse, start reading, come back with specifics, and it just gives them a centralized location to go get all the information that one could want, just like you said. As a matter of fact, when they find stuff that's not on there, they let us know. Just last night, I was on PulseChain chat, and one of the members in there says, hey, JMoney, he's like, I know this is super basic, but there's a lot of newbies that have migrated a software wallet onto a hardware wallet because Papa B just preaches that to no end, which we all do now, right? But he says there's no real good video in there that says how to send money from one hardware wallet to another hardware wallet. And I kind of chuckled at first, and I thought, all right, that's pretty straightforward. But then I really thought about it. It was like, if somebody that just got into DeFi, they used a hardware or a software wallet, they sacrificed for PulseChain or something like that, and they're just sitting on these things, they don't know what to do with them. They just followed some video that told them how to do it, So I literally 5 minutes and 45-second long video last night just did a swap between a couple treasures and did a little thumbnail real quick and popped it out. And it was like an hour and a half later, I got back on there. I said, all right, bro, it's done. He says, no way. So yeah, man, on demand videos. Here we go.
That's your next venture, huh? On demand.
Well, when I got the time, if I'm sitting there and I got the time, the computer's open, why not, right? But most of the time I'm still at work. I still do the 9 to 5 thing. So, it's rare to catch me in that moment.
Right.
So would you say that your primary focus or the team of How to Pulse is to provide education, or are there some other areas that you guys are building and growing towards?
We both, right? The main goal here is obviously to provide all the information we can to educate the community, because the faster people get educated, the faster they onboard, right? And when people are onboarding and they don't have all the answers, it's a great resource to send their onboards to get that information. So that was first and foremost, is to provide that community information and help adoption, really. We are expanding. Obviously, we were talking about the NFT on Pulse. That is a full design, create, mint, sell. We have a like a design tool in there where if you didn't have the software on your computer, you couldn't afford to buy that expensive software that builds the cool NFTs. We're going to have that software right on the website or right on the marketplace.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So that's a pretty cool feature. But as far as like the fees, OpenSea charges a pretty hefty fee, and you can see what kind of volume they're doing and what kind of money they're making. And, we didn't want to gouge our own community because, again, we are part of the community as well. And so we're definitely going to charge a lower fee for these transactions. But on top of that, we want to give back to the community because it's just what we do. And the ecosystem that we want to attach to NFT on Pulse, and then some future dApps that we have in the roadmap as well, is a staking protocol, which will allow you to stake our Eno token, which will be the ecosystem token. And currently NFT on Pulse will be the first dApp, but it won't be the only dApp. But 100% of those fees are going to go into that pool. And we're going to share that with whoever's staking into that pool. They're going to get those fees, not us. I mean, we're going to get some, obviously, right? We got to make some money, but we want to share all that with the community.
Okay. So what's the timeline on that, JMoney? Is that like?
Well, we're going to probably launch a sacrifice right after PulseChain launches. And then we're probably a couple months down the road from now, I'm thinking. So it just depends on when PulseChain launches. But of course, if you ask my devs, they'd probably tell you a different number. So
yeah, for sure.
Just like with what Richard says, you could think you're going to have something done next week, and then you find some bugs or whatever, right? But yeah, we're probably a couple months away from launching that protocol, if I had to guess.
Okay. Very cool. So a question that I have is, you talked earlier about you guys answering, the same questions over and over. What's like one question you get all the time that you guys answer a lot?
Oh man, what's the best ERC20 to hold for the fork?
Yeah.
That's probably the one that sticks out in my mind the most at the moment. And I'd say over the last 3 or 4 months, that narrative has changed 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
The first sentiment was, hey, buy Hex. It's what we're all here for. You get your free copy and you can swap that. It's going to have liquidity. It's going to be there. It's going to work. You're already going to know that Hex is going to be on PulseChain. You'll be able to swap that for some Pulse because, some people didn't get Pulse, but they got PulseX for sacrifice, right? So there's a lot of game theory and how do I get what I want when I don't have what I want? And to use Hex for that, we quickly realized that it's probably not the best move, right? To buy up a bunch of Hex, get some copies, and then dump it on everybody's heads. So that narrative quickly changed to, go find another ERC20 that has liquidity and maybe some lower volume that is going to have, some trading pairs with ETH on the other side and that sort of stuff. And then just recently, Walrus came out with the idea that, and maybe he didn't come up with the idea, but he voiced it out there with cryptographics on that stream. And it's the idea of holding stable actually through the fork, right? Because the first narrative about stables were, they're probably going to get invalidated, or they're only going to be worth 5 cents or 10 cents. You're not going to get any value or whatever. But as we start kind of understanding how this thing works, anything that's paired with Ethereum that gets copied is going to have a ratio of some sort on the other side. Now, whether you value that USDC at $1 or not is really irrelevant, right? Because nothing has a dollar value on day one. So you are only trading on ratios. So if there's a pool with USDC and say Pulse, because there will be, there's a chance that if it's not invalidated, immediately, that pool will be available. You could actually swap it for Pulse, and you've gotten rid of that copy, right? So it may be actually the safest play out of all of them to hold that stable, because the second reason for that is with the bear market happening right now and you're holding ERC20s, you're actually losing that value of what you want to bridge over as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's holding a stable, you're holding all your value, your capital that you can bridge over, and you potentially have a token that you can swap on day one on a ratio before Circle has a chance to do anything with it.
Mm.
Okay.
So none of those, I don't know what's going to happen, or Circle could invalidate those before the fork even happens, or the second it happens, or, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has never happened before. All of it's a speculation and all of it's a gamble. Every bit of it.
Yeah. I know that us tend to, only talk about Richard Hart products, but I've actually holding.
I think she's dropping out.
Yeah.
Am I dropping out?
Yeah, you're dropping out.
I don't know. I think my kids are on the internet.
That happens.
But I don't know if I'm better now. But what do you think about holding Post Dogecoin?
To be 100% honest with you, I haven't dug into any of these third-party tokens, except for Hedron. I did go claim my free Hedron, and then I've been just so busy and just haven't had time to dig into all of these additional tokens that are coming out. People run around calling scams, this, that, and the other, so nobody knows what they are until you do your research, right? And I just haven't done that research, which I'm finding out that most of, I haven't heard of any scams actually, that are within the community. So, it's just, I just haven't done that research yet.
Okay. So if you don't mind, pull your website up and share it, and just kind of look at it a little bit, see what we can do here. Give me a second. Let me grab it. All right, so let me take this off here. So we talked about it earlier, and I just wanted to again say, man, thanks for doing all the work on this. And PulseChain news and education. I mean, to me, and I think BHEX talked about earlier, it's really a lot of education on this site. Like if you want to educate somebody on PulseChain Hex, PulseX, this is probably the place to send them. How do you guys come up with all the information, man? I mean, is there just some of you coming up with stuff like, hey, let's add this, or is it like a group thing? I mean, there's a ton of info on here.
Back in October when we first built the site, right, these guys came up with the layout, and of course it changed a couple times early on of how we wanted it laid out, and we saw some flows that we didn't like or whatever, but we kind of came up with the layout and tweaked that, and it was a full-blown, everybody hands on deck, let's list out all of the questions that people ask in our Jira folder, and we just created projects, and everybody started picking what they what they wanted to write about, or what type of information they wanted to provide, or what they maybe knew about. We do have one of our guys is a SEO expert, so he was driving a lot of the titles for us so that we can get that click on Google. I think honestly that's probably where most of our traffic would come from. I don't have all those numbers in front of me. I probably should at this point. But I know the SEO has everything to do with how many hits we get on this channel. We've got over 500,000 visitors. Wow. I think 125,000 unique IP addresses.
Wow.
And that's just since October. But yeah, we all just kind of pitched in and got that initial, information out. and then just slowly trickled in more and more over time over the next several months. We got other community members to contribute. I think Crypto Goose wrote a nice article on Hex and the T-shares and how all that works. So if you know anybody that needs to understand what T-shares are, and then right down to how the calculation for T-shares ratcheting up, the Hex price, the T-share price in Hex terms ratcheting up, right?
Mhm.
Like he's got that, all that math is in there. Orca did a nice thing on Hex that's in there, Hex University. So yeah, we just got different community members that wanted to contribute, and so we just kind of slowly building and continuing the path at this point.
Yeah, that's cool. So for, I mean, you probably don't have this answer, but I mean, this website alone, how many people you think has been onboarded with this website?
125,000. the unique visitors that have gone there. I mean, I don't know, man. If we
Yeah.
got 30% of that clientele that actually onboarded, I think we'd be in good shape.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you figure if there's 125 unique IP addresses and there's 500,000 visitors, people are going back to the site, not just once, not just twice, 3, 4, 5 times. I can't remember. I think 4 minutes might be the average time on site for those specs.
Okay.
Go to more on the top right, and then go to where is it? I just saw it a little bit ago. Maybe nomenclature. Maybe go to nomenclature. I don't see the title there for it, but somewhere on that. No, that's just telling you like what things mean. Somewhere in that more category, there is some specs on like how many visitors and stuff. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing what you guys are doing, even with the Twitter storms. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like how that idea came to be and what the goal was?
One of our guys, LJ, I can't remember exactly how it went down, but I know that a lot of people would talk about, just retweets and retweets and retweets. And you can't get that organized very easily. And LJ took it upon himself, one of our guys, and decided to start a room, start some, information about how to do regular tweets. He reached out to Richard Hart. Richard Hart responded and said he liked the idea, that kind of stuff. So we got the encouragement, to kind of keep doing so. Not that we needed his permission, but it's nice to have his support, right? And he really took off with it, and it was a little slow at first. We would do a tweet, here, and it would get shared. We had a decent little turnout, and then another one here, and we did that like 30 times, and they were okay, as far as engagements and stuff. And then we did that whole save the date for like a week and a half, and I think we got like, I don't know, 500 more visitors or subscribers to the Twitter Storm Telegram channel, which started, showing us that there was some engagement out there with, setting a date like that. And God, I got a lot of numbers I store in my head. I want to say there was 300,000 engagements, and we popped out 33 tweets in like an hour and a half. And there was like 300,000 engagements and a bunch of retweets and likes and shares and all that kind of stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that one took off pretty good. And then we did one last Friday. Wasn't quite as successful, but I don't think we hyped it up like we did the first one. Richards retweeted, these guys need your help. And the day he did that, I think we had about 1,000 people in the Twitter Storm Telegram. And Richard retweeted, hey, these guys need your help. Go join this room. And I'd say within a few hours, we got like 800 people came in there.
Yeah.
I believe there's
Yeah.
over 4,000 in there now.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's a great resource.
Yeah.
And who is that organizes the Twitter storms?
LJ,
Okay.
him, and then you guys know iHodl.
Mm-hmm.
He's a PulseChain admin.
Yeah.
They're both from the UK, London area, I think, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Nice.
But yeah, those two guys primarily, and then we brought in another community member from chat that was very ambitious and wanted to help with, I can help get these tweets up to this many and blah blah blah. I got ideas. I'm like, all right, man, cool. You want to help? Like, this is what we're here for. Like, we're a community site. I'm not going to tell you no. Oh, you
Right.
want to take something off my plate? No problem.
Yeah. I say the same thing with the tour. I
Yeah.
mean, we have people that step up to volunteer to do all kind of things, and they're like, "Are you sure I'm not overstepping?" I'm like, "No, absolutely not."
And you do more.
Right?
Exactly. What else can I put on your plate?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got 32 people in right now.
Nice.
So Crypto Compassion, just wanted to shout you out. Thanks for jumping on here. You're on everything. Appreciate the support. Win lunch, win moon, win Lambo. Love it. Love it. There must be a lot of streams tonight. I didn't even really look, but that's good. I'm glad to see more content. There's just more and more coming out, so it's really cool.
Yeah.
BHEX, I love, by the way, and I love that couples one you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It's really cool.
Yeah, just trying to appeal to my ladies out there. Sometimes we need a little bit more than just the information to keep us plugged in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I love seeing more women getting into crypto.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need it.
I think it's truly unique, to a lot of the Richard Hart products. I mean, especially Hex. But I've been, dibbling, dabbling with crypto, and I've never seen this much engagement from women as I have in this space, in this community.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, not to seem sexist of any sorts, but just traditionally men tend to be more risk adverse and take those bigger risks and do these things, where women tend to be more reserved and not want to take those risks. And I do like seeing that there are more women out there that are jumping on the wagon and taking those risks and seeing the real value. And honestly, with Hex, it's less risk than anything else that's out there, in my opinion. And it's not just because that's what I like at the moment, but it's just the reality, right? We're guaranteed to get paid yield over time, whether you like it or not. Like, you stake it, you're going to earn yield. Now, whether it's worth any money, that's a different story, right? But you're going to earn those tokens, and at a high rate.
So on your website here, JMoney, what would you think, like, right now, what would be the best thing to talk about? Like, if you, like, right now with everything that's going on, what do you think is the best thing to talk about?
Man, I need to see what's in those folders there. Drop that PulseChain one down. I'm in the middle of writing, like, kind of the game theory stuff that gets talked about day in and day out. So that would be a good one to talk about, but it's not published yet. That's going to
we're going to get it before it's published, man. Let's go then. I mean, that's what we're.
It comes down to the whole, trading ratios and what we kind of touched on a little bit ago. And just how that narrative changed and what the best plays could be depending on certain situations. But the thing is every person's end game is pretty different, right? Every situation's different.
Mm-hmm.
We all want the same goal, right? We all want to live off of passive income, but what we have now versus what we're looking to do, what your family situation is, what your work situation is you know how what your age is and how soon you want to try to maybe retire if you're going to try to go early, or all these things play a factor in how you play this game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it's one of the hardest things to talk about when, I mean, the biggest question that comes in these chats is, hey, what should I do? Well, I don't know, man. You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta know where you're going, right? And that was probably one of the first things I learned getting into crypto was knowing what your end game is before you start,
Mhm.
right? Because I sent some coins over here, and then I said, "Oh man, I shouldn't have done that. I should have done this." And then I sent some coins over there, and then, "Oh man, I should have. Oh crap, I could have done this, and skipped a step." And I had to learn, right? But then I very quickly realized, shit, if I want to get here, I got to make this step, this step, this step. Okay, now I got a path, right? So that's kind of what I try to tell people is just understand what your end game is, figure out how many steps it's going to take you to get there, and then start on step one, right?
Mhm.
Don't start on step one and then figure out what your end game is,
Mm-hmm.
especially with Ethereum gas fees the way they are. Can't afford to make those mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we see it. I mean, you guys all see it. Is where we all tend to buy the new shiny thing. Like, I'm gonna throw my money in that, and
Right,
they have no clue of what they're even buying or even how to buy it.
right.
So, yeah, I mean, I see that quite often with people with some of the stuff that I read. I'm going, did you not do any homework prior to throwing money in this thing?
Nope.
Anyway,
Yeah, I've heard multiple people come in the chat. Yeah, I threw all this money in. How does this thing work? Oh man, really?
yeah,
I mean, you made a good move in our opinion, but probably should have read up on it first.
Yeah.
yep,
Um,
sure,
but yeah, one of the strategies I really stick to with giving advice, because obviously nobody wants to give you financial advice, is we understand there's multiple things that can happen or might happen, or speculation of this, that, or the other, right? Whether the ratio of pulse to PulseX is high or low, whether hex or PulseX to pulse, or pulse to hex, or any of these pairs as they're going to come out on day one. Is we don't know where these trading pairs are going to be. And I always hear in the chats, oh, I'm going to buy up all the PX I can. Well, not if it's a good ratio. You're not, right? So understanding what all these different plays could be, writing them all down one by one, then responding to how you would react in that particular situation, and have 5 strategies, not just one that you think is going to happen.
Mhm.
Because the last thing you want to do is when everything launches, pheromones are running, you got, FOMO starting to set in,
yeah,
anxiety. Oh my God, it's live. Let's go. Plug this. Oh, why isn't this Trezor working? And you don't know what you're about to do, right?
yep,
Take a seat back, or sit back, take a breath, look at your notes. Okay, that just happened. Boom, I wrote that scenario down. When I was in my right mind, this is what I said I was going to do, and
Mhm.
then go execute that,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
So that's gonna, hopefully, if people do that or have that game plan and they understand the different scenarios and the one that they think is probably not going to happen, then they will save themselves from just pushing that sell button or that swap button just because they want to.
Yeah. And I feel like with the fees being so low, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have a lot more, just pressing it, right? Like when we're on Ethereum, we kind of slow down. Is this really, do I
Yeah.
really want to stake right now? Do I really want to do this? And with PulseChain with those fees, even on testnet, I saw my husband like, no, I didn't want to do that. I'll just do it again. I'm like, but you literally just swapped it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a test. But
Sure.
it get very, very easy to do those same things in
Yeah.
mainnet just because it's so easy.
Yep. And like I said, everybody's end game is different, right? And where you're at now is different than the next guy over.
Yeah.
So one particular strategy, even if one of those scenarios, whichever one of those scenarios plays out, there's still 5 or 6 good strategies. Like it's not just all or nothing, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm interested in the PulseX to Pulse ratio. I know that I hear this conversation a lot. My husband listens to the Pulse chat room via YouTube through the Pulse Radio app. So I hear the chat room actually a lot. So I know that this comes up, a lot. Is there like a common answer that you guys give to what a good ratio is, or what is not a good ratio?
Well, there's several theories behind what that ratio is going to be. However, nobody obviously knows.
Right.
It is 2 brand new coins, currently not on a liquidity pool on a DEX anywhere. So there's nothing to compare them to. There's no exact number of supply for either one of those 2 tokens. So we're literally taking 2 tokens, putting them on a DEX for the very first time at a chosen ratio by whoever puts them there, which would be Richard's depths, right? Somebody has to set that first pairing, and it's 2 brand new tokens that have never been seen. So the theory, for my own personal theory, is that there's a total supply difference between the 2 tokens, and that would be where I would start, right? So I think it's going to be, if we're just looking at like the sacrifice set and not the OA wallets, right? It's like 12.5 trillion Pulse to like 17 trillion PulseX. So if you kind of plug those 2 numbers in, I think it comes out to like a 1.4 something to 1. If you were to just go off of ratio or total supply for that ratio. However, one might also bring to the table that there was different amount of money that was invested into those sacrifices, and that maybe PulseX deserves a little more liquidity than PulseChain. So there's all these other factors that could play into that. But I think at the end of the day, obviously Richard's just going to set those ratios to what he feels are fair.
That's it.
Okay.
Assuming that Richard would be the one to set that liquidity.
Right. So another question that, well, not a question, but something that I'm seeing more and more, and you probably see it too, guys, is that I think transactions in crypto is getting easier and easier than it was, even in 2017 or whatever. So we're seeing a lot of people jumping in that have no clue. And I just, your website is going to probably save people so much money if they'll just go over and actually read some of the material you have on there. Because I tell you, it's like I said, it's like you can buy crypto almost anywhere now, and people just don't understand it.
Right.
Some of those places you really don't own anything, and so it's nice to have a reference like what you guys have built.
Yeah, if your assets are on a centralized exchange, you don't own them. They're not your keys, not your crypto. That's the golden rule here, right? And when you say that our website will save some people, I think just the security aspect with using hardware wallets alone is going to save people, right?
Yep.
Because most of these people that are just coming into the community brand new, that maybe have been into crypto for a while, or they're brand new to crypto, they're either on MetaMask on their phone, or they're on a centralized exchange still, and they don't fully understand the DeFi, having your own wallet, holding your own keys, making sure they're held offline, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely, I put in a lot of work towards the security side of stuff. I think that's probably, even still today in the PulseChain chat, it's one of the hottest topics in the room.
Yeah.
Is get your damn hardware wallet. Go do it right now. We'll
Well,
wait.
you know what I think it is? You know what I think it is? I think that we're all so used to having stuff so instant, and we want the easy route,
Yep.
and you get those questions because people don't understand it. They're
Oh,
just like,
no, nobody knows any better, and that's okay. I didn't know any better either. I
right,
started with a MetaMask on my phone as well,
yep,
Yeah.
right? You just learn.
Yeah.
Hopefully you learn before you learn the hard way.
Right. And a lot of times, people just step into it thinking, oh, I just want to learn how to do this. I don't have any real money, attached to it. And then you don't, go back and fix it and add the hardware wallet or whatever. And the next thing you know, your bag is big, and now you're susceptible to it being taken from you,
Yep.
because you didn't think about it early and care about your security. So yeah, I'm big on caring about security. I actually, for Christmas, the one right after Big Payday, so not this last year, but the year before, I bought all of my family members hardware wallets, because they wouldn't buy it themselves. They
Yep.
really weren't, understanding crypto, but they were like, oh, well, you're in it, so throw 100 at it for me, or
Mm.
throw a couple hundred. And so I'm like, okay, but here's your Christmas present now.
Right.
You're gonna get in and do it right.
No, you're 100% correct. I mean, people want convenience over anything else,
Mhm.
and I bought a hardware wallet early on too, but I just didn't understand how to use it, and I had my MetaMask, and I literally like sent all my coins from my MetaMask account to my Trezor account, and I thought I was supposed to manage both of them, and I was like, well, this is a pain in the ass to have to plug this thing in, so I sent them all back to my phone, my MetaMask on my phone, and at one point in there, this is like when I was super new, I sent I had like 8 things in there. I'm like, send. All right, cool. And then I look over and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and like nothing's showing up in my hardware wallet. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I go through and all my transactions went through. Where did it all go? Well, I forgot to select a quantity of tokens I wanted to move. So I sent zero. I just spent a bunch of gas fees. So like these are the trials and tribulations that as a newbie you just have to you got
yeah,
to endure these
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Are you educate yourself and watch other people doing that kind of stuff and learn from it? I
Yep.
mean,
Mhm.
um, so
Yeah, I mean, I started, believe it or not, I've only been into crypto since March of last year,
mhm.
and I sat in the PulseChain chat from like early May for like 2 or 3 months and just listened, didn't say a peep. I wanted to ask some questions, and I was like, I'll wait. And then of course somebody else asked the same question not too long after that or whatever. So I learned to just sit there and soak up everything I could. I reached out to Jesse at one point because he seemed to be pretty savvy with wallets at the time, and or he
Mhm.
still is, but he was one of the big brain guys that was on chat. That he was an admin. He was talking about these hardware wallets, and he kind of got me on the right track, and I still couldn't figure out what the heck I was doing wrong. And reached out to Papa finally, and he's like, "Yeah, dummy, you gotta delete that MetaMask and download a new one." I was like, "Oh, okay, now it makes sense, right? Now it's all coming full circle." And ever since then, I was like, "Man, if it took me that long, because I usually catch on to stuff pretty quick, if it took me that long to figure this out, like this is confusing for probably just about everybody."
Right.
I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the room, but you know what I mean. If something's that hard, like, and I get it. Now I can share my experience with other people and get
Yeah.
people on the right track. So that's
Yeah.
kind of why I stuck to the making the videos for the hardware wallets and just helping people out in that way.
Yeah. It's definitely a learning curve.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you had a good point. For anybody that's new out there, don't be intimidated if you go to a Telegram, group or something. You're probably going to find the answer by just listening. Like
Mm-hmm.
you typically don't even have to ask the question because it's probably already been answered or someone's going to ask the same question. So,
Right.
yeah,
And then like liquidity pools, like it took me 6 months to figure out liquidity pools. Like I heard it 100 times, I still couldn't just wrap my mind around it, and finally one day it clicked. I'm like, okay, all right, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you? I actually am still. I mean, my husband has gone over it with me multiple times, and I still, sometimes I feel like I get it. Sometimes I'm like I could use a little bit, deeper understanding. Is there a quick, a easy way that you can explain it to someone who is brand new to this cryptocurrency environment?
Yeah, I mean, if you, we'll stick to kind of like Uniswap V2, so it's double-sided. You have to put in both sides of the token, right? If you're
Mhm.
going to provide liquidity. Um, so there's literally just a ratio of those two tokens paired against each other. So, for instance, hex to USDC, what is hex right now? 11 cents. So there's 11 hex, or let's see, I'm gonna do some quick math so I don't. 1 divided by 0.11. So there's 9.09 hex for every 1 USDC in a liquidity pool. That's the ratio.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So as people buy more hex, there's less hex in the pool and there's more USDC. That changes the price. As somebody sells their hex, there's more hex in the pool and there's less USDC. That changes the price the other direction. It's, what is it? X squared times Y, or X squared plus Y squared equals K, like the K factor, that math. So
Yeah.
when you're trying to figure out like how much it would take to move the price one direction or the other, you have to take like the square root of that number to get, because when one asset goes up, the other one goes down at the same time. It doesn't sit stagnant, right? So if you're just adding to one side, that would be fine, but you're also taking away from the other side. So it's actually a square rooted number.
Mhm.
So for instance, the AMM fixer bot for PulseChain and on PulseX, when to adjust the ratio of PulseChain to Ethereum in those pools, let's just call it 1,000,000 to 1 for math's sake, because we know it's around 1.2 million pulse for every hex. When the AMM fixer bot goes into those liquidity pools, it's going to add 1,000 times the amount of pulse that's in that pool, or that was Ethereum, right? If you had 100 Ethereum, you're going to multiply that by 1,000, and then you're going to divide the opposing asset by 1,000. So 1,000 times 1,000 is 1,000,000 to 1, right? So that's how that ratio becomes equal again. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. You're dropping the math teacher stuff on us tonight, man.
Yeah. If he just took the Ethereum side up 1.2 million, then the ratio would still be completely out of whack because the other one has
Right.
to go down, right?
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Here's a question. I don't know if this is probably more of a what you prefer, but
Yeah, personal preference. Model 1 is the cheaper of the two. It's a little bit smaller. It's got the 2 manual buttons. The Model T is kind of the Cadillac version. It's touchscreen, full color screen with push buttons like on a cell phone. The caveat to that is those letters or those little boxes that you have to touch are much smaller than the end of your finger. So a lot of people that have bigger fingers tend to not like the Model T for that reason. The Model T does support a few more chains than the Model 1 does, but effectively on a security level, they're both equal.
yeah.
How do you feel about Ledger?
I bought like one of the 3 packs or whatever of the Nano S's because I want to play with them and just have extra wallets anyway. They are good devices. They provide the same security. They are actually easier to do a migration when you're adding your seed words into it. You have a left and a right, so you can go up and down and find your letter and just go to the next letter and spell out your word. Whereas on Trezor, it's like a treasure hunt. You got to go find your letter on a box and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little easier on like the migration side of things, but when it comes to using that hardware wallet on a MetaMask instance, there's usually like 2 or 3 items that you have to get into the ledger and into MetaMask and adjust settings and these little workarounds. Plus, you have to run their bridge. Trezor, you have to run the bridge, but you do that one time, and I mean, I forget about the bridge because I just don't, you don't have to worry about it anymore. So I guess in terms of like ease of use, Trezor is just, the very beginner friendly. It's just plug and play. There's no little quirks or bugs you got to work around. Whereas the ledger, you do have to make those adjustments. However, once you learn what those are and you realize it's just a couple things you got to switch up and then it works. I mean, I like the ledgers for as far as the feel, the clicks of the buttons are firm, whatever. But we usually recommend the Trezors just because they are that beginner user friendly model.
Mm-hmm.
But ledgers are nice though.
Yeah. I actually got ledgers because they were all different colors and I wanted to be able to tell them apart.
Whatever works, huh?
Yeah, I got little silicone covers for my Trezors. Little color covers.
Nice.
Here, I have them right here.
He's got them.
But yeah, my 3-pack of ledgers I got, one's clear and a couple are black or whatever.
Yeah, I have a clear, a blue, yellow, pink, like all the colors. Oh, okay. That does make it easy.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a Trezor.
I got a couple.
Play with it a little bit.
I got the Model the Model T. I got a couple ledgers in here.
Yeah.
If I got to prove it to Papa Boner, here you go. I hold a couple ledgers. But yeah.
Here's a question. What's your thoughts about PulseX buy and burn function?
What are my thoughts about it? Or do they want to know like how it works? Or
I'm not sure. So send it.
Or maybe if you think that that's going to have implication on how quickly it surpasses the price of Pulse, or if it will ever surpass the price of Pulse.
Well, they both are deflationary. They both burn tokens.
Mm-hmm.
PulseChain will burn on every single transaction, whereas PulseX will only burn on transactions on PulseX. However, if you look at it like this, if nobody ever, let's see, how's this go? If the price never moved, or if nobody ever bought any more PulseX, that's what it was. If nobody bought PulseX token to change the value to go up, just the volume of the other trades on the market would be constant buy pressure on PulseX. And the later we go in time, or to the future, the more significant that burn will become.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because it's off of dollar value and not off of percentage. So that's looking at a percentage of the fee is based on the dollar value, not the transaction fee. So as PulseChain and PulseX, people start swapping out thousands, first it's going to be hundreds, and then it'll be thousands, and people will be switching out hundreds of thousands to potentially millions in the future. So the further we go out and the higher the prices go to these assets, the bigger that buy and burn function is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Burn, baby, burn.
JMoney, thanks a lot for all the help that you provided me.
That is I have talked to that gentleman on some private chat rooms and helped him out with some wallets and stuff before. You're very welcome, sir.
That's really cool, man. And I know this right here is the reason why you do it, and I can tell
that's
that.
Right. That's
so
right.
That's really cool. Really cool.
Absolutely,
Thanks for joining us tonight. Anybody else got any questions out there? And throw them our way. We'll talk about pretty much anything, but we're talking to JMoney from howtopulse.com. If you have not been to that site, you need to go over there, and even if you think you know everything, go over there and look at it anyway, or send somebody. Yeah,
No
right.
way.
Or send
No
somebody
way.
else to it that may need to know something that you don't know, or yeah. Anyway, but definitely need to start utilizing this site more. Howtopulse.com.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, if
Yeah.
anybody has new onboards, they're trying to get people into Hex or PulseChain or anything, definitely use our site. We don't get anything necessarily out of it, you using our site, other than your people that you're trying to help get the information they need.
So JMoney, are you going to PulseCon? Are you going to be out that way?
I am going to go to PulseCon. We were toying with the idea of getting a booth for PulseCon. With everything we have going on, it's just kind of a budget thing at the moment. But we're going to go show up and enjoy the festivities at a minimum.
Cool. Are you gonna jump on Are you gonna be back out with this young lady here? Hit the road?
Yeah. I need to get a schedule for that. I know you guys put one out not too long ago.
Yeah, we have the dates of our workshops. We're doing full day workshop events, like a 1-day conference. Trying to draw out 300-400 people to these events because they're just in the major market cities, and then in all the other cities, we're focusing on college visits, setting up opportunities to go in and talk directly with the younger group of kids.
Watch out, man. These college kids have been brainwashed to go get that debt ahead of time.
Right?
You ain't kidding,
we
man.
gotta dig them out of that hole, man.
Yeah, they should for sure be staking their first year going out. 5 years later, college paid for.
If I would have started investing when I was at that age, 18, 19, 20, 22 years old, it's just hands down. Like, we were dumb. We were young and just didn't listen to nobody.
No.
But my dad got into stocks and stuff, but it was just never really a big conversation at our house. That was his retirement stuff, and he kept it to the side. And he could have taught me those things, but it's not his fault. You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
But here I am in my 40s, and I'm doing it now. So here we are.
Okay.
But I know this generation, they are a lot more, I mean, they grew up with cell phones in their hands from like birth, so they're a lot more tech savvy. They're a lot more interested in, creating wealth for themselves and not going to work. They all kind of have that entrepreneurial spirit, whether it's, to be YouTubers or TikTokers or whatever.
Instagram.
So I know if we're able to, get the information out to this demographic as to, what they could do with some of their expendable money, outside of partying, I think that, we could see real growth and adoption.
Yeah. That demographic, all they need to know is 15-year stakes, 15-year stakes, 15-year stakes, right? And if they do that at the age of 20, their first one comes out when they're 35. You still got to go to work and learn how to, deal with people and all those sorts of things through your 20s. Like, I think that's still very much important.
Yeah.
But if those 20, 21-year-olds set a 15 years out and they go to work and they do their thing, 15 years, they're 35 before they know it. And they're going to be sitting on a huge amount of wealth, especially if they set up stakes like every 6 months, every 15 years. Right. And then they're just set the rest of their lives. Like, that's really the message I think that demographic needs to know. Like, don't worry about 2-year stakes or 5-year stakes. Just set up 15-year stakes every year, every 6 months or whatever.
Yeah. I think a nice part about, getting to those people that age and then in that environment is that it spreads so quickly, it's like wildfire, they just like, it's instant almost, because look what I did, and it's all over. I mean, it's just viral, so really cool what you guys are doing, going to the colleges and stuff. I just think that's such a need to show them that it's and nothing. I'm not all about educating yourself, because I am, but I'm also about people go to school and they don't even know. They come out and they still don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So it's like I always push people towards technical stuff. If you want to go to school, go get a skill. So.
Yeah. Yep. I do heating and air conditioning service for large tonnage equipment on like hospitals and stuff. I'm a air conditioning mechanic. I've been doing this trade for 23 years. I'm union, all that good stuff. Yeah. It's definitely and I didn't have to take a $200,000 college debt out of it either. So.
Right.
Yeah. It's unfortunate they push four-year universities over everything.
Yeah. I think it's changing some now. I think I'm seeing a little change. I mean, BX, you can probably talk about this a little more, but I feel like it's changing a little bit. That the technical side of things they're starting to push that more in the high school level, which is probably a good thing for sure.
Right.
But anyway, I didn't mean to get on that.
Right.
Talking about the Million Pulse Tour.
Abit.
What's happening, brother?
Hey, what's up, Abit?
Yeah. So while you're here, I know this is probably why Abit chimed in, because you guys are a perfect partnership, for the Million Post Tour. You guys provide the education that we aim to provide on this tour. So we'll definitely want to be in contact with you guys to see, how we can partner and how we can get some of your guys to come out and teach and be a part of these workshops, because
I'd love
you guys
to.
are very knowledgeable on PulseChain, and that's what our whole tour is about. Is really, not only are we have this little slogan, coins for everyone, because we're going to give everyone some PulseChain, but it's really about taking away the fear of pressing the buttons, right? Of using PulseX and seeing how the blockchain works, without you feeling like, oh my gosh, they're trying to scam me, they're trying to get my money, and then it's going to be gone. No, we're going to give you the coins so that we can make sure that you know how to properly use the system, and show you right there on the spot, if you want us to, how to set up your ledgers and do things like that. So that's what Avid is like. Hey, make sure you talk to the How to Post guys while they're here right in front of you.
Yeah, no problem. We'll get together and see what we can do to help out with that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd love to come to a couple of the shows and hang out and do a little teaching on, asking questions or setting up wallets for people or whatever. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But when's that tour starting? Sorry.
So we cannot, of course, launch until after PulseChain launches, because we are teaching you how to be active. We have a tentative date. We thought we were all good to go with his mid-May, but
no one knows.
It's pushing back. So right now we're set to launch on 6/19. But we start with just meetups, so Hexagon meetups, so that we don't necessarily need PulseChain launch for. The first workshop would be in Los Angeles on July 9th, 7th or 9th. I need to be more sure about that, whatever that Saturday is. So that would be the first workshop in Los Angeles. But let's say that we're on June 3rd and Richard hasn't said anything, then it's likely that we're going to cancel the first one and do the first one just in Sacramento on July 23rd.
July. Now you're talking my language, Sacramento.
Yeah.
I could be there in an hour and 20 minutes.
Nice. And we already have our venue secured. We will be at the Safe Credit Union Convention Center. It is downtown Sacramento. It's a beautiful convention center. So we are already secure for Sacramento. We just can't secure for Los Angeles until at least we get, like a real date.
Nice. Sorry, I'm writing this down because I'll definitely be at that one.
Yeah, go to ksb.tv. There is a tab that says PLS Tour with the workshops tab. There you can see all of our dates, all of our speakers. I would love to add you to the list, and whoever else we can get from your crew.
Okay. Yeah, count me in on that one for sure.
Nice. Wonderful.
Cool. Well, JMoney, what else you want to talk about, man? I mean, we're getting a little over an hour, so I mean, you got anything else you want to push? You know, how can we help you with the stuff that you're doing? You know, other than sending people over to this amazing website, is there anything else we can do for you?
I mean, word of mouth stuff's always king, right? So yeah, just keep sending on boards. I'm sure we can reach out if there's something specific. I mean, I'm not sure what to say about that.
Okay. I just always like to ask because I know you're giving a lot with just all the stuff you put in. So if there's anything I can ever do for you, man, I'm more than happy to help. So
very cool.
Yeah. So, but
is there information for the Telegram group on the website, or how do we direct people to the Telegram?
I think I put it in the description of the video, but Perfect. I can type it in the comments too if you've got it there.
I'm just gonna look. I think yeah. So if they go onto the website, there's some little tags on the bottom right corner for our Telegram, YouTube, and Twitter links.
Okay.
Perfect.
They're just social media links there.
Perfect. Got it. All right, man. Well, thank you again, man. Thanks for jumping on with us, and come back anytime.
Awesome. Love to have Thanks you. For having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Have a good evening.
You too. See you guys. Thanks.
See ya. All right. So that was cool. Have you spent much time on the site? I got on there and I was just like, I could not believe the information on there.
I haven't spent a ton of time, but I've gone to it when I've had like very specific questions.
Yeah.
I've actually sent more people to it than I've been on it myself, just because I know that it answers like all the questions. And with my schedule right now, I mean, I love my family to death, but I cannot walk through PulseChain. So yeah. I've definitely sent quite a few people to the site for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would be a great partner with you guys out there on the tour. I mean,
oh yeah,
obviously the knowledge of all the knowledge that they have and just unbelievable. So
yeah, and you know, like PulseChain.com is the website, but it's not as helpful as far as onboarding and adoption as How to Pulse.
Yeah.
Right. So when we're traveling the country and we are promoting these logos and even the Trinity, the RH, the PulseX, these logos, and we send people straight to PulseChain.com, I don't think that it has as much of an impact as sending someone to howtopulse.com, where they can really learn from how to get their wallet, how to get started on centralized exchange, and all the way through PulseX.
Yeah, I agree with you totally, because I think PulseChain.com, I mean, it's great, but if they don't even know what it is, they go over there and go, well, what do I do now? So yeah. Howtopulse.com, everyone, make sure you're pushing people that way. And just we're very thankful for all the work they put in. So BHEX, I think we made it through another one, and I hope you survive the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Don't work too hard.
Thanks, T. Rob. It's my pleasure.
All right, you guys have a great night.
You too.